Hello, and welcome back. It's been so long since I last dropped something on this platform. But I want to just use this opportunity to say a very happy new year to everyone. I know it's February and the year is still quite very young and new. So whatever you've started doing for yourself, whatever you've started setting out to achieve, I want to remind you that there is still a lot of time to do that. So don't pressure yourself too much. Take it slow and steady. You're gonna get there. There's a book titled There's a Place Called There, and it was written by my mentor, Dr. Charles Apoki. You may want to check that out. I think it's on Amazon. You just have to Google or just put it out there on your browser, and it will bring out the search engine will bring out the name of the book, and then you just do what you have to do. It's a very nice read. I've read it and it's very inspiring book. So what the book talks about basically is just the reward at last, the reward that comes at last from persistency, from not giving up, from refusing to be a quitter, because quitters are losers. But those who don't quit, who keep on persevering, eventually win. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I want to talk about a topic that just came into me. Like, I was not expecting it. And if you've noticed, this is the first video I'm dropping for the year, and the first video I'm dropping on my platform. I've been getting lots of messages. What's up? Are you good? We've not seen you post and all those stuff. I want to say that I really appreciate all of those beautiful what I want to call looking out for messages, because those messages scream of care, concern, and you're not just there to consume what I'm bringing out there. You also genuinely care about the person, me, because I'm the brand. All right, let's dive right in. So the topic I want to talk about is called "Don't Be the Prince That Never Become the King." That sounds very funny. How possible is it? Usually, in the line of succession, where there is a king, a prince, you just know that there is going to be a king someday. It means this person is being groomed, this person is being trained, this person is being taken through, all of the processes that will eventually get them to the point where they want to be, and that's when they eventually become the king. So my topic today says, don't be the prince that never become the king. The question I'm sure you want to ask is, who is that prince that never become the king? What happened? A prince in this context is not just the son of a king, but a best man elect. That is someone who is destined to be great after another person's era of dominance. Something you may want to call the next best thing. If you look at every or any society that has a monarchical system of government, where the leaders are kings or queens or whatever, there is always the next in line. There is always a line of succession, right? After this person, after this person, this person. So the prince is the next best thing. The prince is that person who everyone is, maybe not everyone is actually looking at them because they are not at the limelight yet. They are just like behind the scene. But people are beginning to notice what they do. People are beginning to keep an eye on them, while the full attention is on the king. So the prince who never become the king in this context means anybody who is unable to fulfill their potentials. Every human being has potentials. If you want to have Somebody gave me this advice at some point last year, and I have not been following through, but I'm beginning to consider doing that because I've not done that yet. But I'm already having a feeling of what is this going to be like if I eventually do it. So what's that advice? Somebody told me, if you want to understand what it means to die without fulfilling your dreams, without fulfilling your purposes, without fulfilling your potentials, take a time out and just go to the graveyard, go to a burial site, and just don't talk, don't greet anyone, just take in the silence in there. That was a very powerful advice, because every graveyard you see today is full of dreams that never materialized. It's full of potentials that were not realized. It's full of aspirations that never became realities. And the question there for me and you is, what hope do people there have? The answer is no. Everything you want to achieve is right now and here that you're still alive. And that is why this topic is very important. So in this context, the prince who never becomes the king is that man who, for some reason, everything was looking well for them. The potential was there. The dream was there. Everybody was expecting them to go on and do this. But for some reasons, or for any reason, they ended up never doing that which was expected of them. So many people, I know that in Africa especially, we like to spiritualize everything. Oh, it's the devil, it's village people. No. Sometimes it's just a question of attitude, what we do and what we don't do. And I'm going to prove it to you on this topic today. So stay right there and don't go nowhere. So when we now talk about a king, who is a king? A king is the great man himself, someone who has attained the highest potentials, realized the fullness of their dreams, potentials, aspirations, and all whatnot. So, why is it important for the prince to look up to his king? The greatest reason is in order to avoid some of the mistakes that the king must have made. Because a certain saying says that there are people, wise people learn from other people's experiences, but foolish people wait until those experiences become their experiences, then they learn from it. You get the difference? Proactive learning and reactionary learning. Proactive learning, that is, I'm not going to wait for this thing to happen to me. Let me see what happened to this guy and learn from it. Reactionary, oh, it has not happened to me, so this is what it looks like. Okay, how am I going to remedy this situation? That's not wise. So the prince that never becomes the king is that man who had innocent intentions. You had strong aspirations to become a lot of things, but for some reasons you never quite got there. Shall we look at some examples? One good example I want to mention here is Neymar Jr. If you are a football fan, or even if you're not a football fan, you must have heard of the name Neymar Jr. Now, I want to respectfully say that Neymar has had a wonderful career. Neymar has achieved so much in his career, and he is still considered a superstar. He is still a world-class player, and I'm not using him as a reference of failure here. Please let me make it very clear. I'm using Neymar as a reference of someone who achieved something, but there were the possibilities of him achieving even more than that. Why do I say that? Neymar Jr. left Barcelona from PSG rather than waiting for Messi to leave and claim his kingly place. Barcelona's idea of succession was that after Lionel Messi's era of dominance, Neymar is going to be the next big thing. Neymar may not necessarily be as great as Messi, but he will just sort of continue, because the philosophy of Barcelona is that the team has to be built around a certain player. Right now, the team is built around, I think, Yamal, So it was always the plan to build the team around Neymar when Messi leaves. But what happened? Neymar left because he felt like, no, I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait for Messi. I'm not going to wait for my chance. I'm just going to jump into the next train that comes and just go and pursue my own dreams and all that, which is not necessarily bad in its own way. But what happened? He left Barcelona, joined PSG, never quite attained his dream. He didn't win Ballon d'Or. And I'm sorry to say that it's not looking like he's going to ever win one. And that's not being hateful, that's just being point blank honest. But we both know that if Neymar had remained in Barcelona, there were greater opportunities, there were greater chances of him doing as much as possible and winning probably 1 or 2 Ballon d'Ors. But because of that hasty decision, because of that emotional decision, because of that, immediate comfort. Be careful of immediate comfort. It's going to suit me now. And that's the problem we have in this generation. Everybody's all about now. Only few people step back to think about the future. Everyone is about now. Right? That's one example. Who is the prince that never becomes the king? The prince that never becomes the king is also the person who waits idly for opportunities instead of preparing for them. How many of us are guilty of this? We're waiting. I'm waiting for the man that will marry me. I'm waiting for the lady that will marry. I'm waiting for the right job. I'm waiting for the right opportunities. But how many people say, I'm preparing for the right opportunities? That's the problem. A lot of people wait without doing anything, without getting ready. Forgetting that what happens when you're just waiting idly is you will end up missing so many opportunities. You will end up being unlucky. Because people can always say, oh, he just got lucky, something happened, he got a big break and something happened. No. I don't believe in luck. Because luck usually happens when chance meets preparedness and effort. In other words, before luck happens, something must already be going on in and within you. You prepare for it. You do something to make it happen. You make an effort. You don't just sit down and then it will just happen, right? The prince who never becomes the king is that unambitious person who simply believes potentials will automatically turn into what? Expected reality without working hard enough to make them come true. What does that mean? The sense of entitlement. Oh, because I'm the prince of this king, I know that I'm the next in line to the throne. I'm not going to learn royal etiquettes. I'm not going to learn anything from my father. I'm not going to consult the advice or the counsel of those who has been there before. I'm just going to sit down and wait, and at the right time the right thing will happen to me. I'm just going to sit down and wait, and at the right time the right man will come to me. I'm just going to sit down and wait, and at the right time the right opportunity will come to me, because I believe que sera sera, whatever is meant for me must come to me. That is very, very untrue. That is a very erroneously conceived perception and perspective of life. Very erroneous. It's not true. There comes a time when you reach out to get what belongs to you. Why? Because there are so many other people who are fighting to get that same thing you're looking for. You're not the only one who wants something great. Other people want to. So you don't win amidst competition by just waiting because you're entitled. You feel like, oh, you're that special. It's just gonna come to you. It's just gonna happen to you. You don't have to do anything. And I know that there's a place for having faith in God. But what did James say? Faith without work is what? Death. So you gotta do something. You're not just going to sit down there and because you're in that right position, because you're in a situation where there's a likelihood that something good might happen to you. Your royalty does not mean you will become king. There are several examples. Prince Andrew of England. I'm not going to go into the full details, but at some point he was part of the closest people who were in line to someday become the king. But I'm sorry to say that today he's never going to be the king. Go and find out why. I'm not here to talk about that. It's a very sensitive topic. But you go type Prince Andrew of England. Why is he not going to ever become the king? You'll get your answers. So what I'm trying to say is, just being in that position is not a guarantee that because you're now in the right place, you now have the opportunity to just succeed means it's time to just sit down and wait. No, you still have to work hard. Who is that prince that never becomes the king? A person who settles for less, who has no calculated risk-taking mindset. Sometimes it takes a risk to discover a new invention. Yeah, it takes a risk. It takes, let me just try. There are people who don't have risk-taking mindset. People who everything they do must be calculated. How are you sure it's going to give me gain? How are you sure I'm not going to fail? People who are more afraid of failure than they are of actually putting in effort. And I'm not here to judge anyone or to say that I know it all. I've also been that kind of person. There have been opportunities I've missed just because I was not ready to risk it. I was not ready to come out from my comfort zone, basically. That's the phrase I'm looking for. It's all about calculated. You've seen that here, if 1 + 1 must give you 1, 2 + 2 must give you 4. No. Living life is a risk. Every day you wake up in the morning and go to work and come back is a risk. Living, risk-taking is part of living. The person who discovered penicillin, his name is Sir Alexander Fleming. You can look him up, Alexander Fleming. He took the risk of keeping contaminated, moldy petri dishes instead of discarding them. And then he started noticing that the mold inhibited bacterial growth. And he was like, oh, something is going on here. The mold inhibited the bacterial growth, which means if this and this can come together, we can find a way to prevent the growth of bacteria. We can find a way to combat bacteria. And that's what penicillin is all about, to fight bacteria. And that's how penicillin came about. Just from taking risk. Let me just, instead of removing this rubbish, let me see what can happen within this content. And then something started happening. When was the last time you took a risk? When was the last time you came out from your shell and pushed yourself to do something you've never done before? This video I'm doing, I may appear confident, but let me tell you the truth, you have no idea how camera shy I am. You have no idea. But since last year, I've been pushing myself to be here because I felt this burden to share. I felt like God was teaching me something that I could bring out and help to help other people to grow while I still continue my own journey of growth. But here am I staring at your face. I never believed I could be doing this. And it's big for me. So when was the last time you took a risk? When was the last time you said, okay, I know that this is not 100% guaranteed, but I'm just going to try it? No. If you're that kind of person, you risk being the prince who will never become the king. Who is the prince that never becomes the king? A person who doesn't even know their true potential. My people perish, that is the word of God. Because of what? Lack of knowledge. I know a friend of mine who was extremely very good in playing football while we were growing up in my secondary school era. I'm not going to mention his name, but if you're watching this video, you know yourself. Everyone knew him. He was exceptional. Very good in playing football. But one day I said to him, bro, education is important, but how about achieving this dream? I think you are going to make one heck of a good footballer because you're quite good. And what did he say to me? I don't think I'm good enough. And that's how the dream died. Because of lack of self-belief. Lack of self-belief happens when you don't know who you are. You don't understand who you are. It's like the son of a rich man. It's like the story of the prodigal son, where the man took all of his own parts of his father's belongings and squandered them and all that, and was feeding and meddling with pigs and peasants and all that. But the moment he remembered himself, what happened? He went back. He went back to where he came from. He started questioning, why am I here? Am I supposed to be in this place? If I'm truly born of royalty, what am I doing in this place? And that's how he went back. But the problem we have today is that we have so many people who do not know who they are. So many girls who do not know who they are. That's why if you go to their Instagram, the only thing they are selling is their body. Back everything. And obviously it's a perverse world. You will have crowd of debasement that will join and follow. Because one thing I've learned in this world is no matter how bad your market is, if you bring it out, you will still see people who will buy you. You will. But the truth is, just because this thing is succeeding, does that mean you're achieving your dreams? Does that mean you're doing what you're supposed to do? Does that mean you're realizing your true potential? The answer is no. So many people in this world do not know who they are. Ask people, for example, who are you? The first thing they would say is their name. Sorry guys, crazy. The first thing they would say is their name. And that's it. Where they come from. All about identification. But beyond your name, beyond the fact that you're a doctor, who are you as a person? If they remove those titles, what else is left of you? If they say, okay, we know that you are pastor this, pastor that, today you're no longer a pastor, beyond that, who are you? That's a question I'm still asking myself. So I'm sharing. I'm not trying to say I have it all figured out. I wish I did, right? So let's now go to how can you become the prince that becomes the king eventually. Now we've talked about who the prince who never become the king is. Let's now talk about how can you be that prince that truly gets to the space of achieving their truest potentials. By the grace of God, I'm a professional and I work in social care, and I'm already working towards the path of getting to the pinnacle of social care, and I will share that big testimony when it's time. So I'm practicalizing what I'm telling you. I'm not right there, but I want us to grow together. I want us to do this journey together. That's why I'm bringing it out right here. So how can you be that prince that becomes the king eventually? The first step is by knowing who you are. It all starts by knowing who you are. The prodigal son did not just go back because they were suffering, because the possession they took from their father was finished and squandered. No, he went back because he remembered who he was. That's cognizance, that's consciousness of this is my true identity, this is who I am. So it's time to say no to certain things. So many people are doing so many things in this world, like I've already said, because they don't know who they are. When you don't know who you are, deceiving you becomes easy. Being part of the head effect. I think I've made a video before about the head effect, where people just follow crowd. Everybody's hating on this person, I will join and hate on that person. The reason why they are hating, why this person, no questioning. Just head effects. Everybody's going here, let me just go there. That's what happens when you don't know who you are. You go everywhere, you're pushed. You do everything you're asked to do. You're easy to convince. You're easy to persuade. You don't ask questions because you dull your own brain and then let other people use their own. And that's the sad reality of life. If you don't know who you are, those who know who they are going to use you to achieve their own potentials. How can you become the prince that becomes the king eventually? Include the God factor. Very, very important. Include the God factor, because in anything and everything we do, we have to understand that He is the finisher, He is the author and finisher of what? Of our faith. So what that means is what God starts, He always finds ways to finish. So don't think because of your training, don't think because of your experiences, you have it all figured out. No. You also have to understand that there are people who have done these things I'm mentioning, who have done the right things, but for some reasons, they still didn't get to where they needed to get to, because they didn't have that God factor. So there's a place for mercy when you've done everything you're supposed to do, and God just says, okay, this is where your strength as a human being ends. This is where I come in, and let me show why I am God. So always include God. Don't never think you know it, or never think it's all about your academics, what you know, your experiences, skills, blah 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 blah. The second one is the third one rather is by learning how to create a good impression every time you meet people. There are so many people in this world that everything is all about money to them. In fact, the moment you meet them, you pick up negative impressions immediately. They cannot do anything for you except it's commercialized. They cannot help you except if you're going to give them money, or they will sleep with you, or they will get some advantage from you. They are just me. And people like that exist. People who, no matter what, you just need to speak with them for 2-3 minutes and you pick up the kind of person they are. They show you their bad attitude. They show you how toxic they can be. Just by spending 3-4 minutes. When they say things, you know, you are like, oh, hang on a second. How is this person reasoning? Remember what the Bible said? That a fool is perceived to be wise when he keeps quiet. So when a fool speaks, he basically tells you that he's a fool. So when you meet people, do you leave negative or positive impressions? The reason is because you don't know who might help you in the future. There are people who have this insanely annoying mentality. Oh, he has to like me the way I am. She has to love me the way I am. This is who I am. I'm toxic. I'm this. I'm that. If he truly likes you, he has to accept you for who you are. That is dead. That is gutter mentality. If you want the best, then you have to be ready to also offer the best. If you want people to enjoy people, you have to be ready for people to also enjoy you. It's a two-way thing. So anyone you meet, be quick to leave a positive impression. Don't show them that you have gutter behavior. Don't show them that you are not trained. Leave a positive impression in them so that they will always remember you. People may not always remember the good things you do for them, but I promise you, the positive impressions you leave on them, they will not forget. Remember the story of Joseph. When Joseph was in prison, one of his fellow inmates had a dream, and he asked Joseph for help to interpret this dream. Joseph interpreted his dreams without charging him 1 kobo. So many people today will be like, you want me to utilize my talent? I'll use my talent too, but you have to pay me. Don't get me wrong. There are times when you have to start charging people for what you offer. There's a place for it. I'm not saying be totally Father Christmas. Everybody that comes, everything has to be free for you. No, I'm not saying that. I'm only saying merchandising should not be your number one priority. It shouldn't always be all about money all the time. Everybody needs money, I know that, but it shouldn't always be driven by money. Every time you relate with people, it's always 100% transactional. No, there are times when there is nothing for you, but just do this good thing for this person, because you don't know when and where you will meet them again, and when and where they can help you. The story of Joseph, very interesting. Go read it up. We don't have time. I'm trying to round up. After Joseph interpreted the dreams of one of his fellow inmates, Joseph was also very kind, according to biblical inscriptions. During that period, he was in jail to all of these people. After and for 2 years, the man did not remember Joseph. And if it is like after the man left, because the man was incarcerated with Joseph, but when he left the prison, he did not remember Joseph for 2 years. The man left the prison and went back to the palace to serve Pharaoh, and he didn't remember Joseph for 2 years. And most people will be like, I said it. Maybe I talk him. 2 years, this man did not remember me. I've already left and he has forgotten everything. No. But something made him remember Joseph again. What was that? Positive impression. Pharaoh had a dream and he said, wait, hang on a second. This guy in prison, I know that I was with him and he interpreted my dream. Can someone fetch him for our king? I think he might just be useful to our king. That is how Joseph got out from prison. That is how he went up there and up to become whatever he became eventually. Right? Leaving positive impression. Something that will make somebody remember you. That will make them not be quick to just think you are ordinary. If you see that opportunity, grab it. Don't merchandise it. Don't make it all about money. Leave that positive impression. People don't forget. There are things people taught me today, some people that have already left my life, but just because of those things, I have not forgotten them. Every time I do those things, I have this sense of gratitude. I may not go back to them and say thank you for this, but I have that sense of gratitude. I remember them because of this. That is called leaving a positive impression on people. That is one way of becoming the king when you've been the prince for far too long. We're rounding up. The last one is learn how to, not the last one, avoid complacency. Yes, avoid complacency. Remember the story of Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho, very exceptionally talented. Everyone, as far as I'm concerned, he was one of the best dribblers I've ever, if not the best dribbler I've ever seen in world football. I was lucky to be in the same generation when Ronaldinho was at the peak of his power. But guess what? He only won 1 Ballon d'Or. Just one. Injustice? No. Why? Because of indiscipline. Because of complacency. Now I'm at the top. I'm just going to stay there. Everything will just keep falling in place. No. When you get to the top, you will see that the competition is even more fierce on that top, because you will now be the focal point of everybody. How are we going to put this person down so that we replace him on that top? So hard work doesn't stop. And when hard work stops, complacency begins to set in. So when you've attained that position, do not slack. Do not say because I'm here, it's over for everybody. No. Keep working hard. Keep staying humble. Some of those intrinsic qualities you learned while you were coming up, keep utilizing them. Because remember that it's not about staying at the top. Sorry, it's not about getting to the top. It's about getting there and staying there. Two different things. The last one is to seize your moment. There will be a time when it's time for you to be the king. It's time for you to realize your potentials. It's time for you to now finally go out and achieve that stuff you've always wanted to achieve. But guess what? You cannot get to this point if you've not been preparing. If you've not been preparing and you still found a way to get to that point, what will happen is you'll just be from top, before you know it, down again. And that's not what you want. And this is where the position asks you the question. Okay, you want to be the top, you want to be the king, you want to be this. How ready are you? Now there's a situation. How are you going to handle it? Now there is something going on. There's a complexity. Are you going to run back to your father who is no longer alive? How are you going to handle this? This is what you wanted. And this is now an opportunity to show that, okay, you wanted this. Were you ready for that? So many of us want things we're not ready for. So many of us are dreaming of positions that we believe, oh, I want this so that I will earn so much money, billions of dollars, blah, blah, blah. But when we get there, because of lack of preparation and effort, we will see that we were not ready. And you will start screaming, oh, so this is what people at the top are suffering from. No. Preparation. Seize your moment. And I hope and pray that you will become the prince that eventually goes on to become the king. My name is Chibuzo. Thank you for giving me about 35 minutes of your time. Welcome to the space. If this is your first time watching me, I will not be dropping videos as steadily as I used to because my schedules are becoming increasingly busy and mad. But when I can, I will share with you, and I will learn and grow with you. Keep living, keep staying beautiful, keep staying humble, keep winning. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful week.